everyone. Thanks for joining us here in the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center of GoLocal Live. I'm Molly O'Brien. I'm joined by David Caprio. He's President and CEO of Children's Friend. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Molly. Thank you for having us. We're glad to be here and to talk a little bit about what we're going to be doing this holiday season.
Yes, so as we head into the holiday season, the nonprofit organization Children's Friend provides child welfare, family support, and developmental services. You provide that all year long, I should say.
Correct,
You've been
yes.
around for quite some time. But today we're going to talk about the Spirit of Giving Holiday Drive. Let's start about talking about the holiday drive, and then we'll get into the background of the organization.
Sure. So right now we are entering our holiday season, and for us, the Spirit of Giving Holiday Drive. For this year, we are looking to sponsor 1,550 families. These are low-income families that we work with in the city of Providence, Pawtucket, Central Falls, and actually throughout the state. And families who have young children and may not have the means to purchase anything for the holiday season, something new for their kids. And so what we do is we take those families that we're working with and we look for generous sponsors out in the community, and we try to match those families up with the sponsors and get those kids something new for Christmas or any other winter holiday they may be celebrating right now.
I think this is pretty neat, and it's been very successful. The holiday drive has been very successful in years past. Talk to me about some of the items that people have either asked for, the families have asked for, or that people have donated in the past.
Sure. So, I mean, the items run the gamut. So everything like, it's wintertime. So, winter jackets, coats, mittens, boots, even, obviously sneakers and shoes. But obviously it is the holiday season, and, we're talking about kids. So things like dolls and maybe building blocks and books are also very much appreciated. Some of the best stories we get back. So these are all families that we know.
Yeah.
Our workers are working with these families throughout the year, as you said, and so we deliver the gifts to the family, and they either wrap or don't wrap, whatever their tradition is. But all of these are new gifts, whether it's a new sweater or whether it's new gloves. And some of the best stories we get back are when workers say that a child opened up a box and they got a gorgeous new sweater or great new gloves. And the best part about it to them was it had a tag on it.
Wow, yeah, that's cool.
Because we recycle clothing all year long, and many of our families come into our clothing closets and get things for their kids, and we get lots of donations throughout the year. But at this holiday season, we try to make sure that the kids are getting something new, and that in itself can be special.
Just sometimes the power of something new for someone who's never owned something new can be whatever it is. Doesn't even matter what it is.
The pride, right? The pride that
Yeah.
you have in that. Yes.
Yeah, the fact that you can own one pair of new shoes when you've never owned a new pair of shoes can be so powerful. And you mentioned these are families that you know. So whether it's your staff or it's social workers that are going out and recommending the families, talk to me a little bit about how that process works, because you know the families that are participating.
Sure. So at Children's Friend, we're working with around 2,600 families at any one time. As I said, we're trying to match up about 1,550. 96% of the families that we work with are living below the federal poverty level. In Rhode Island, we have one of the highest poverty rates in the New England region. Mm-hmm. So there's lots of families in poverty. And so we take we don't even serve all of our families. Out of 2,600, we take the most needy 1,550. And these are also, because we know these are families that we know are not getting service through someone else. So someone may get sponsored through a church or through the Salvation Army or something like that. These are families who aren't getting that. And, so this is really their last stop, and this is their safety block. And, we're able to take the generosity of the community and step up and help them and help the kids. Obviously, a child getting something at the holiday season is extremely important and makes them feel really good. But, all parents want to do what they can. They want to do the best that they can for their kids. And families who don't have the resources really feel a lot of stress that, so many kids in the community are gonna wake up on, say, Christmas morning with something under the tree, and my child's not. And this helps take a stress out of a family too. So it benefits a child, but it certainly benefits a family too.
So if people are interested in helping out, there are multiple ways that you can participate. Why don't you talk to me about that?
Sure. So, I mean, one of the basic ways to participate is to sponsor a family. So if you're able to, whether your own family, maybe working with your workplace, your community organization, get together and you can all chip in together and sponsor a family. You can give Children's Friend a call or go on our website, childrensfriendri.org, and you can select to sponsor a family. if for some reason, getting out and shopping is just a little bit too much and you're busy enough as it is, you can certainly make a financial donation. We do have volunteer shoppers who will shop for our families, because our families have filled out wish lists, and you get to see that wish list. When you select a family, you also, I'm married and we have 2 boys. My wife wants to shop for girls, so when we sponsor a family, that family has young girls in it. So my wife gets to do her shopping for the young women. So you get to have a little bit of fun like that. What type of family you want to help? Maybe you're from Central Falls. You want to help someone in Central Falls. You can tell us that too, and we'll try to match you. And like I said, we can do that for the workforce too, for your workplace, for your church. Financial donations. We also need a lot of volunteers, right? So we have donors coming into our site bringing in gifts for 1,550 families. That's over 5,000 children or family members in total. So we have lots of gifts coming into Children's Friend. We have to sort those, and then we have to get them out to the families. So we have lots of volunteer opportunities also. Pretty much, 6 days a week from now till the end of December, we'll be working on the holiday drive.
Okay. There was someone in here from Panera actually on Wednesday, which just kind of happened to work out, right? And they mentioned that they're participating with Children's Friend. If you happen to be out and about shopping and you know that you're going to be stopping by Panera, is there a way that if you don't sponsor a family or your business isn't working with it, that you can just drop a gift off? Does it work like that too?
Yeah, so Panera actually has in their bakery cafes, and they're an incredible partner throughout the year to us, and certainly during the holiday drive. But if you go in their bakery cafes, as in right now, you can actually get a gift tag for just one child or one present. But also, I believe through December 8th, if you can just bring a toy or a gift into Panera, and they'll get it to us. So you can go to your local Panera here in Rhode Island or Southeastern Mass, and you can either get a gift tag and fulfill that gift wish, or you can just bring in something. They have containers, or they'll take them behind the desk, and then they're going to deliver them to us in a couple of weeks, and we'll get them out to families.
Okay, I think that's great that there are multiple ways to help, which I think is super important. And one of those ways to help, maybe if you're a family that is a little strapped for money or being able to donate, you can always volunteer your time, which you mentioned, which I think is really important too. I think there are multiple ways to give back, especially during this time of year, which I think is really crucial. I want to talk to you a little bit about the organization. It was founded in 1834. Can you talk to me, besides just this time of year, can you talk to me about some of the services that you provide? Just help people get a little bit more familiar with Children's Friend.
Sure. So we are the oldest social service agency in the state, founded in the India Point section right here in Providence, and basically founded as an orphanage. Before state government or child welfare systems existed, children were sometimes just abandoned on the street or left out on the street. So many of people in the society at that time came together, founded Children's Friend, and said, "Hey, we want a place for these kids to at least be safe. We need a home for them to go." They recruited a school teacher from Massachusetts. Her name was Harriet Weir, who is our founder, and she founded a home for these children to take them off the street, keep them safe. But obviously, being a school teacher, she said, "I'm just not going to put them in a home.
Yeah.
I want to give these kids a future." And so, she educated them and taught them, and created Children's Friend. It was the Providence Children's Friend Society at that time. We have morphed into what we are now. We still do adoption and foster care. Obviously, permanency and child welfare is at the core of our work. But right now, so much of our work is out in the community in family support programs, really working to keep families strong and keeping kids at home in their families. So a variety of services such as nurse home visiting services, Head Start. We run the Head Start sites in Providence, Pawtucket, Central Falls. The WIC offices, Women, Infants, Children's and Nutrition program. We do child care, family counseling, all services really focused on families with young children, usually children under the age of 5, as well as lots of home visiting services, and family support, parent education type things. So
I think that's really crucial to have these services in Rhode Island. And I don't know, to be honest with you, I don't know if it's a good thing that we have these in the community or if it's a tough thing that we've had this in the community for so long, right? Because like you said, there is a lot of poverty within our community, so it's tough. I guess we're fortunate that we have Children's Friend and these programs. I mean, it's a good thing, but it's also tough to see that your services are so needed.
Sure. So absolutely, I think you're right. It's a great thing that we have Children's Friend. It's a sad thing that we're as busy as we are, and that we have a waiting list for some programs.
Wow.
We're serving almost 1,000 children every day in our Head Start program, and there's hundreds of kids on a waiting list that will never get in.
Wow.
Because there just isn't enough funding. There aren't enough slots for that. But the more we can do to get kids who are at risk to grow and to develop and to enter school ready, and let them be successful in life, hopefully over the long term we will make a difference, and there will be a less of a need for this service moving forward. But we always want to make sure we have that safety net for our kids.
I like that. I want to talk to you just a little bit more about that and about how the needs and the demand has grown. We had Andrew Schiff, the CEO of the Rhode Island Community Food Bank, in here. I believe that was last week. They just released the 2017 status report on hunger in Rhode Island, talking about the prevalence of hunger in Rhode Island. It's at the highest that they've seen in 10 years. Talk to me just a little bit about, have you seen a rise in demand in your services over the past couple years?
We have. I would say the demand for our services has been pretty consistent. We've had waiting lists for several years now. So I wouldn't say this year the overall demand has increased a lot. The demand has stayed pretty consistent the last few years. But what I will tell you we've seen this year and perhaps towards the end of last year is the severity of the cases that we're seeing is that severe. There are so many families. We talk about families at risk, but what does that mean? Does that mean that they just have low income? We're talking about families that we're seeing with so many risk factors. Perhaps low income, but perhaps they don't have stable housing. Perhaps they're victims of domestic violence. Perhaps there's mental illness issues, substance abuse issues. So there's so many factors sometimes impacting our families. And I will certainly say in the last few years, and certainly this year, we have really seen an uptick in the severity of the cases. We hear a lot about the opioid crisis, in Rhode Island and in the nation, and I can tell you, we see the results of that on kids. I think we see that, every single day sometimes on the news with young children in Rhode Island dying, from abuse and neglect. Perhaps substance abuse is involved in many of those cases. So I think the severity of the cases that we have seen in the past year has really increased. It's been a high severity level.
So having programs like Children's Friend, just another crucial reason to continue to work to make things better within our community.
You do, because what you have to do is you have to identify these families, right? So if a family's out there struggling in the community and they have no connections to an organization, there is no safety net for them. And if you have a young child, you have a 12-month-old baby, you can't take that risk. You need a family that's connected. All families, whether you're well off or in a great housing situation or someone who's struggling, y'all have bad days, right? We all have bad days where we're like, oh my gosh, everything is just going against me. And in a at-risk family that doesn't have any connections, how are they able to overcome that challenge? And so you need organizations like Children's Friend. You need support structures in the community that can really support a family in crisis like that, because it can very much mean the difference between life and death for a child.
And so we're thankful to have you. And so for the Spirit of Giving holiday drive, something just as simple as a new toy, a new game, a new deck of cards, a new pair of shoes can really make a difference in a child's life, in a family's life, and makes it simpler for those families of they don't have to make the choice of whether they're going to provide a meal or they're going to provide a new coat, right?
You got it right on, just like that. We are funded by government and some foundations and different grants that we get to provide the services. So we have the Head Start classrooms. Government pays for the teachers in our Head Start classrooms, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we can ensure that a child has a warm coat. Head Start doesn't pay for new coats for children and for toys for winter holidays, and that's where we can take families that need, give them the basic services that we can through government and other foundation funding, as well as our endowment that we have. And then we have generous donors who can jump in and say, hey, we want to really try to help support this family and make something special for them. And adding on to the basic services that you give them, we can really make this a great holiday season for some families.
Well, I hope that we can help do that as well. If you want more information, we'll put a link to Children's Friend and ways that you can give on our website. So, David, thanks so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. Thank you for all of your work that you do within the community. And if you're interested in donating in any of the ways, volunteering, or you would like more information on Children's Friend services, you can check out their website. Again, I'll provide a link as well. So thank you once again. And please hang tight as we get ready for our next guest here on Go Local Live.
Thank you.